I was watching this video and I started thinking, yeah, that's, when I was growing up, it was that slavery was wrong and bad, and that's why we fought the war. That's what the whole Civil War was about. Slavery was ended and trying to make it, right. Everybody be equal, progress, and like there was political differences and stuff, but everybody agreed that slavery was bad. And there wasn't, I'm not even talking about what I thought. I'm just talking about what I observed. So anyway, thinking about that, and then realized what we are watching right now in our country is an accumulation of power in the executive branch. And the Project 2025, they wrote that after the first term and all the things that got frustrated and stuff. I think they basically installed Trump, like that he basically answers to the people that actually run the world, the people who decide who the president's going to be, and make sure that the election results come out a certain way and all that stuff. Because politics in our country, I think, since they did away with the campaign finance maximum on dark money to political action committees, is basically just theater. Both parties are more or less the same. And so everything that you see is probably a distraction. I mean, the tariffs, it looks like maybe that was so the market would go down, and then when they got taken off, it would go up, which would obviously provide somebody with a lot of opportunity to make a ton of money. And a bunch of people did. But point being that Trump answers to other people. Trump was installed. I guess he's still useful to them or whatever, but what they're doing is they're accumulating a ton of power in the executive branch. They came up with this plan, 2025, to do so. They're going to accumulate all the power, and the plan is basically to turn our country into not ruled by the people. We will be ruled over. You could argue it's already like that, but I'm talking about for real, like where, there's times that you can go to the store and times that you're allowed to leave your house, and government approved everything. They just got 10% in Intel, the government did. You can see it going this way. It seems pretty obvious. And what does all this mean to a Christian? It's a very good lesson in power and what happens with power, and responsible civic duty that people haven't been doing, or we would have done things differently. But at the end of the day, what it means is that, one of the most famous verses of the Bible, that the things to Caesar, render the things to Caesar, and the render the things to God. And I'm not even saying I know the verse perfectly, but the point being that on earth, politics, governing over people, that's not part of God. And all we can do as a Christian is to serve the best way for Christ, and to spread the message, and to, at the very least, live our lives as if someone who wasn't a Christian saw us, they would think, I respect those Christians. At least they, whatever it is, don't litter, or don't steal parking spots from people, or shoplift, or any of the number of things that we wouldn't do if we are actually trying to be in the will of God, because they're wrong. And there's not basically, so we have no part of that politics. And religion, and specifically Christianity shouldn't be a part of politics. That's part of how we are in this situation the way that it is because Trump was able to attract, I think it was 80% of the white evangelical vote. And if you are a follower of Christ, you can pretty easily see that Trump is not a Christian really in any way.
You ever ask God for forgiveness? That's a tough question. I don't think in terms of I'm a religious person. I'm not sure I have. I just go and try and do a better job from there. I don't bring God into that picture.
But I like to be good. I don't like to have to ask for forgiveness, and I am good. I don't do a lot of things that are bad. I try and do nothing that's bad.
Do you believe in heaven?
I do. If I'm good, I'm going to heaven, and if I'm bad, I'm going to someplace else.
If I can save 7,000 people a week from being killed, I think that's I want to try and get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing I'm not doing well. I am really at the bottom of the totem pole. But if I can get to heaven, this will be one of the reasons.
So, we should have stayed out of that as Christians. But the politics and all of the drama and all of the consequences and all of that stuff that goes with it, that is not for us to concern ourselves with, or at the very least, we keep our, separate. All of the founding fathers talked about separating church and state, and for very good reason. They had just left oppressive, religious monarchy where there was a state religion and other ones were persecuted, and they understood that if they associated with a specific religion, that all other religions would be persecuted to some degree. And in the first thing that ever mentioned separation of church and state, the wall between church and state, Jefferson wrote a letter to one of the churches up there and was talking about these issues and said something about separating church and state. I don't remember everything about that letter, but it's very easy. I watch a fair amount of political things, mostly concerning foreign policy, but also U.S. politics. And I have a pretty keen, perspective on things that happen. And it's really easy to get caught up in the drama of it and almost, not live your life because you're so invested in it. So I have to do a very intentional limit on how much I can focus on that stuff and then get back to my real life. Because while that stuff is real life, the same way that a lot of people think it doesn't matter what I do or whatever, I can only do so much. So even the little bit that I feel like I can do isn't going to change things a ton. So I need to focus on living my life, which means being a good husband and a good father and good provider and good protector and a good, most importantly over all of these things, a good Christian, a good follower of Christ. It still feels a little weird for me to say that. I'm not like some I know lots of stuff about Christianity guy. I haven't been doing this for years. I am a baby new Christian, but my wife told me that I should make things while being a baby Christian, that it would be good for other people in this kind of situation, and I agreed with that. So basically, I may get some things wrong or look stupid or whatever, and that's going to be part of being new at it. And even more specifically, to crush my ego as much as possible. Hopefully I will be wrong and look stupid sometimes, and I will leave that video up, and it will just have to look wrong and stupid, and that'll be good for me. So the bottom line is, with how it affects a follower of Christ to be an American citizen, is you have to limit the amount of politics that you invest your time and energy in. You have to be a responsible citizen, in my opinion, but that it really doesn't have anything to do with your beliefs about God or anything spiritual. If you're a follower of Christ, if you're a different, a different religion, it really doesn't have anything to do with politics in our country. You obviously have values, and you can vote those values. It's interesting to note that until the 70s, the Republican Party was pro-choice. And then Jerry Falwell came along with the, what was it called? The majority right? I can't even remember. And basically abortion became terrible. And it really started this, this adhesive nature between politics and Christianity, or between Republican and Christianity, conservatism and Christianity. It could just as easily be Democrats and Christianity, because Democrats would want to feed the poor and provide opportunities to people that don't have as much. And really, Christ's values go a lot more with the progressive side of things. And I think they probably saw that that would happen eventually, and like co-opted it, because being anti-abortion and the whole gay marriage thing, like, those are the only two things that link conservatives and Christianity, because the rest of it is about, low taxes for wealthy people, keeping immigrants out. I mean, a lot of this stuff is actually kind of backwards, and I'm just kind of throwing this in there. I'm not even saying, I typically am a conservative, except I'm a conservative who's compassionate. So I typically think smaller government, states' rights, low taxes, low spending, unless, and definitely equality. Everyone is equal. So it's conservatives with the understanding that everybody's equal. And then if there's a group of people that's getting screwed over by some kind of policy, then you look to alleviate that. So, whatever it would be. You could even call it reasonable conservatism, in my opinion. Because what happens in our country, politically at least, kind of the lowest common denominator, or the angriest common denominator, that somebody who's got enough power to run for office, enough money and resources to put together a campaign to run for something, they appeal to people by different things. And sometimes they use things that are kind of subversive and bad, unhealthy, non-Christ-like. And if you get a big group of people that is really angry about something to elect you, that's not really doing good work. That's just power. And that's the whole point, is that people, we are all sinners, and, we are, without the love of God and without Christ, we are kind of just, not, we are dirty and bad. We do a lot of bad things. And so, and I just mean generally, I don't condemn myself. I don't think of myself as a dirty, bad person, but, it's kind of a fact that we'll always revert back to doing unhealthy, unnice, whatever things, and just thoughts, whatever. But people that are in that elite kind of, rich, resources, connected, not all of those people run for office. So there's groups of them, and somebody will run. If they run based on a certain thing that a lot of people have in common, but it's not productive. Oh, actually, I had gone to my thing, the compassionate conservative thing, and I was been this for a long time. Basically, you kind of have a default goal of doing conservative policies, not modern day like right-wing Trump Republican stuff, just conservative. What they're starting to call the Romney conservatives, the kind of fiscal conservatives that have values but aren't like the main thing. And so then when you come across something like gay marriage, instead of being like, gay marriage is wrong and I'm going to get a bunch of people to also think gay marriage is wrong so I can get more power, which is what people do. What should be done is to actually, the fact is the Bible doesn't condemn gay relationships and gay marriage like most people think it does. There is the one statement about a man lying with a man as a woman being an abomination. And obviously that is strong and kind of clear, but loving your neighbor certainly overrides that. So basically it's the kind of thing where we should let God judge that. We should have gay marriage. We should have whatever, and we should love them as our neighbor, even if they aren't Christians and even if they are nice to us and everything. But but know that, and hopefully, we would think, I guess, that when they die, they will be judged for that thing as well as everything else. And if they weren't a Christian anyway, then they, what I mean? But basically, it's not for us to manage with political power. That's what I'm trying to say about that. And that's where I stand on things. I'm not like progressive, like, like defund the police, and I don't really fit into modern politics. I am an independent. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, if I haven't said that yet. And I'm only given this background if somebody wants to keep watching from the video that I had made. They'll see kind of part of why it's like that. But generally keeping things the way they are if they don't need to change, I guess would be about the best way to say it. Keeping things the way they are if they don't need to change. And if they need to change because anybody is being harmed by policies, then you look at a way to change it so that they are not. It's not just do what our values say and everybody that gets screwed over by that, they should be living like we are. That's not what I think a follower of Christ would do. And I think that these people that are out there, proponents of and acting on and stuff like that, on policies like that, I think they probably, because I don't know, I don't judge, but they probably aren't really followers of Christ. And I wish that people that weren't Christians at all understood that, like, the true followers of Christ, you would love them. They are us. They are incredibly nice and loving and giving and generous and friendly and and that's it. Like, it's just, you come to our church and we're gonna be nice to you and you're gonna enjoy it, and there's not gonna be somebody telling you you're bad. But we definitely also believe in the Bible. And if you have any questions or doubts, like, look into it, but most importantly, read the Bible. I always recommend with starting at the New Testament. You can read the Old Testament later, and it is important. But if you don't know anything about it, the New Testament is where to start, in my opinion. At the first four, the Gospels. That's it. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Read those four, and you will know probably enough to know whether you want to keep reading the Bible or not. So anyway, that's all I got for today. I just wanted to kind of, it was supposed to be a really quick little note about politics, and 20 minutes. So, yep, everybody who sees this, thank you for watching. It means a very lot to me. I hope it helps or entertains or something, at least one person. If one person watches it all the way through, I consider it a success. And I know that eventually enough of the right people will see it to where it will, get seen by some people. But that's where I'm gonna drop it. So, see you on the next one. Till next time, this side or the other.